Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the next game in the American League 1987 replay. Let's see if I can't get this thing fixed up here. We are still on the April 28th date. I planned to play last night, but I had internet issues, so I couldn't get the YouTube and the everything to get going. So had to defer to tonight. A little bit later start than I wanted to. Hello, Jack. How you doing? A little bit later start than I wanted to, but college basketball was tonight, so I was watching my game. It just ended recently, so now I'm able to get going. We are in Oakland at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. April 28th is the date. Boston Red Sox, Oakland Athletics. It'll be Jeff Sellers going for the Red Sox and Joaquin Andujar making his season debut for the Oakland A's. And Oakland enters the game 15-5. Boston enters game 3-16. Pitcher-catcher quotients, -2 for Andujar. He's a -2. Steinbach's a 0, so it comes to a -2. Sellers is a -1, but Schaefer's a +1 for a net 0 there. Ballpark effects in Oakland, singles are 1-3, lefties and righties. Home runs 1-5, lefties and righties. Wild pitch for Andujar is a 7, balks a 0. For Sellers, wild pitch is a 3, balks a 0. For Steinbach, his pass ball rating is a 7. His T rating is an 8. For Schaefer, his T rating is a 13. His pass ball is a 5. And this is game number 135 of however many we end up playing to complete the whole American League. Hello, Hardwood. Hello, Ben. How you doing? Hello, Utah Mike. Yes, got my internet, hopefully got my internet issues all taken care of now and not have to deal with those anymore. Not sure what happened last night. I kept trying to get going. It just wouldn't get going. I thought if I ever did get going, it would probably crash in the middle. So I just figured, let's just take the night off and start from scratch here. So here we go. Joaquin Andujar. This is his maiden voyage in 1987. In the season, he was 3-5 with a 6.08 ERA. But I have no stats to give you now because this is his first start. So we'll go ahead and get Andujar going. And Wade Boggs will lead off for the Red Sox. And on the replay for the Sox, let's see how Boggs is doing. He's hitting 308, 4 homers, 9 driven in. And I'm tempting fate. I'm going back to team colors for this game only. See if it works. But if that D20 starts screwing up again, I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. But hopefully, in quotes, hopefully this does not screw up. All right, so we're ready to go. Wade Boggs against Joaquin Andujar. We're underway. 6-3, and that's a fly ball right field X. Right fielder Reggie Jackson's a 4 with an E10. 4-20, he'll get to it. So E10 for Reggie. He has to avoid on an E10 as a right fielder. E10, he has to avoid 3, 4, and then 14 through 18. So 3, 4, and then 14 through 18. And that's a 12. He just barely did. 13 was where he was going to start the errors. I'm sorry, 14 is where he started the errors, but he got a 12. So Reggie was able to handle a knuckling liner for the catch, 1 away. And that's going to bring up Marty, Grin, and Barrett on the replay. Barrett just recently back from injury. He's only had 22 at-bats, but he is hitting 409. No homers and 1 driven in. 4-5. And that is a line out to third, right to Carney Lansford. And that's two. I'm sorry, it's Mike Gallego. Lansford's getting the night off. This is Mike Gallego's actually playing third. So they are giving Lansford the game off. All right, here's Bill Buckner. Buckner, first baseman, hitting 288. No homers, 6 driven in. 3-5, and that is a fly to right field. Reggie Jackson puts that away, and Joaquin Andujar. A 1-2-3 start to his 1987 season, so he's off to a good one. And at the end of half inning to play, it is Boston nothing. Oakland coming to bat, and Jeff Sellers will be the Boston Red Sox pitcher. He is 1-1 on the replay, but a 7.36 ERA, 15 innings pitched, 21 hits, 6 walks, and 12 strikeouts. So he certainly could stand some improvement. Luis Polonia will lead things off for the A's. He's had limited duty. He just recently got called up. He's had 18 at-bats. He's hitting a .167 in those 18 at-bats. See what he can do here against Sellers. 6-9 is a fly ball to right. Dewey Evans puts it away. 1 down. And that will take us to Tony Phillips, the Swiss Army knife of the Oakland Athletics. Phillips is hitting .260, 2 homers, 9 driven in. It's a 2-6, and he's going to fly it to center field. Hindu is there, Dave Henderson. So 2 fly ball outs to start the bottom of the first, and here comes Mr. Reggie. Reggie's hitting .229, but he's got 4 homers and 13 driven in. It's a 1-6, and he will strike out to end the inning. So both pitchers, no trouble at all. 1, 2, 3 they go. And we go to the second with no score from Oakland here on a Tuesday night by the Bay. Last 3 games in this April 28th block are all on the left coast. We got this one. We've got Milwaukee at California, and we have Detroit at Seattle. So finish up the day on the West Coast. That seems appropriate. Here's Jim Rice. He's hitting .347, 3 homers and 17 runs batted in. It's a 2-7 for Rice, and he's going to hit a single to center field, so he continues his good hitting. Single for Rice, he will not be held. And here comes the DH, Don Baylor, Mr. Hit by Pitch. Baylor is hitting .265, 2 homers, 11 driven in, and the very first havoc roll of the game. Nothing going on. Here's Baylor. 5-3 is a ground ball first base X. That is first baseman McGuire. He's a 3E12. He's not holding Rice on, so he keeps his 3. Doesn't drop to a 4. 3 and a 9. That could be interesting. First baseman 3 and 9 is a G3, so his only play is going to be able to tag the bag. We know Rice is going to get second base automatically. We're checking for an error on McGuire. He is an E12. So he's got to avoid 3, 6, 9, 15, and 18. And that is a 14, so it's good play. It's going to go. McGuire's only play is to actually flip it to Andujar covering, and Rice will take second base. So Baylor gets Rice to second base with 1 out for Dewey Evans. Evans on the replay is hitting .292, 3 homers, 13 driven in. Nothing on the havoc. Here's Evans. 6-3, and that's a fly ball center field X, and that is Javier. He's a 2. 2 and 16, he'll get to that, no problem. E7. He's got to worry about an E7 for a center fielder. E7 center field. E7 center field. 3, 4, 15, 17, and 18. And it's good play. 2 down. And now in a clutch situation is Glenn Hoffman, the shortstop. And on the clutch results for Hoffman, he gains a hit in 3 places here in column 3. He's definitely clutch hitter. 3-4, 3-5, and 3-8 turn from outs to hits. So that's something to watch out for. Hoffman in 27 at-bats, that was only hitting a .148. No homers and 1 driven in. Let's see what Hoffman can do, if he comes up in the clutch or not. 5-8, and that's a fly ball to center field, and Javier puts that one away also to end the inning. So nothing doing for the Sox. They come away empty-handed. Go to the bottom of the second. Still no score. And Jeff Sellers back out on the mound will face Jose Canseco, the DH. He's been DHing a while, so I wonder if he's got a nagging injury or something, because normally he's in right field and Reggie's DHing, but last few games it's been the other way around. He's hitting 271, 5 homers, 10 driven in. It's a 6-5, and that is a strikeout. So Sellers puts the K on Canseco, and that'll turn it over to Mark McGwire. McGwire on the replay hitting 222, 2 homers, 5 driven in. 3-2 is a ground ball to short, and Hoffman will handle it. 2 up and 2 down. Brings up catcher Terry Steinbach. Steinbach on the replay is hitting 357, 2 homers, 2 driven in. It's a 3-4, and that is a ballpark single check, the very first one of the game. It's a 1-3. That's a 19, though, so that will be a ground ball to short, and Hoffman takes care of that as well. So nothing doing for Oakland at the end of 2. We have no score. Hello, JT. Good to see you. I'm doing well. My internet's doing much better. Last night I wanted to play a game and I had internet issues and could not. So glad to be back tonight. Danny Schaefer going to lead it off. He's only hitting a $125 in 24 at-bats, 3 for 24. No homers or runs driven in. 1-3 is going to fly to center, and boy, Javier has made 3 consecutive putouts in center field. Joaquin Andujar, the fly balls are coming out off the bats. He is only had 1 ground ball the whole game. Here's Hindu, Dave Henderson, in the number 9 position tonight. He's only hitting a $187, 5 homers, 13 driven in. 6-7, it's a ground ball second base X. That is Phillips. He's a 4. Could be trouble. 4 and a 5, most likely we'll get through, but we'll verify. 4 and a 5 is going to be a single. His error rating is a 21, so he has to avoid 4, 13, and 17. 4, 13, and 17. That's a 13, so he couldn't avoid it. So not only is it a single, but Phillips with an E21 is a 13 E1, so it's going to be an SI1 with an E1. So Henderson will take second base on the E4. So he gets the base hit plus the error on Phillips, and that will put him into scoring position with 1 out. And the dangerous Wade Boggs at the plate. Andujar didn't think much of that. Hello, Ron. Good to see you. Boggs flew out to right his first chance. That's a 3-6 for Boggs. Ground ball to first. It will get the runner Henderson over to third, but now there are 2 away. Two down. It's up to Marty Barrett in a clutch situation, or just to tick somebody off that I know, a clutch situation. Loses a hit on 112 and 2-8 and 3-8 and 3-5. So definitely anti-clutch in 4 spots. See if he can avoid the clutch results. 1-8, and he did. 1-2 is a home run, but anything else he flies to left, that's a 7. So it's a fly ball to left field. Polonia puts it away, and they strand Mr. Henderson at third base. So that's going to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the third, no score from Oakland. Hello, Bart. Good to see you. So both pitchers holding their own, even though they're not the best pitchers on the staff, they are holding their own. And bottom of the order for the A's, it'll be Stan Javier. He's hitting to a $111, 3 out of 27. Not very good. He does have a homer, 3 driven in. 4-9 switch hitter, batting left-handed. It is a single, so first hit of the game for Oakland belongs to Stan Javier. pitcher catcher quotient for Boston is a 0. So Javier, if he gets the lead, would be a 1 to 13. They're going to go ahead and attempt the lead. A 2 or a 4 through 6, he gets the lead. 12, he's caught stealing automatically. That's a 10, he cannot get the lead. So he will hold fast, and Mike Let Go Gallego is at the plate. He's a B bunter. Wonder if they might try to play small ball early. I think they will. It's going to turn to a C bunter because Boston senses that's what's going on. Do a havoc roll first, nothing happening. So now we're going to check the C bunting. That's a 6, so the bunt is going to be directed. With that 6, it's directed to the third baseman, Boggs. And now on a C bunter, he's a C bunter, so basically just needs to get an 8 or less to be in good shape. Gets a 10. That's a pop-up, so that's not good. He pops it up to Boggs, and getting back to first base is Javier, so he's not doubled off, but he fails in the sacrifice attempt by popping out to Wade Boggs. One away. That's why I generally don't like to bunt or hit and run. Outs are too valuable to give up, but thought I'd give it a try and just didn't work out. Here's Griffin, and Griffin on the season hitting 235, no homers, 2 driven in. 110 is a single to center field. That's why he let him hit away. Hindu's a -2. Javier being held to 14, -2, make him a 12. They're going to hold him at second base. First and second with 1 out. Hello, Prague. Good to see you. And Polonia, leadoff batter, is back to the plate. See what they do the second time against Sellers. 2-7 is a 1 to 13 single. That's an 8. It's a single. It's only 1 star. It's going to load the bases. So Oakland has something cooking here in the bottom of the third. They have loaded the bases with only 1 out. And Tony Phillips, your batter, he's not one that hits into a lot of double plays. So Oakland's got to feel pretty good about that. Boston is playing for the double play, though, because he does have a couple of A's on his card. 2-7, and he strikes out. Boy, a big strikeout there as Phillips takes the K. And it's going to leave it all up to Reggie Jackson. Hot Dog Jackson will get a chance in the clutch, no less, where he thrives in the clutch, at least in his career he did in October. Let's see what he does in 87. He loses the clutch hit here on 2-8, and he loses the clutch hit on 1-2. So 2 anti-clutches on this one. (5-7). We're off Sellers' card. Ground ball, second base, X. Nobody's being held, so second baseman Barrett keeps his number 2 ranking for his range. 2-19 is good. E11's got to avoid making an error to get out of the inning. An E11 with the second baseman. He's got to avoid 15, 17, and 18. Those are the only 3 numbers that can hurt him. 15, 17, and 18. And he's good to go. So he'll just throw it to first base to keep it simple, and that'll end the inning. And the A's leave them loaded. That might come back to bite Oakland right there. So at the end of 3, we got no score from Oakland. Reggie leaves them loaded. Fails in the clutch. Hello, Mr. Philip Reynolds. How are you? I am Prague. I'm doing as played lineups, so if people are injured in the real world, they will be injured on this. I'm playing whatever Strat-O-Matic shows as a 25-man roster. If injuries occur during the game, the player can be out for that game only, but no other time. They only would miss the rest of the game that they're in. They would not miss further games. So I'm trying to keep it straight up as much as I can. Now, my Cincinnati Reds history maker, all bets are off. Anything can happen. All right, here's Bill Buckner, because that's just the nature of that game. It's a game, so not really. You're welcome. All right, so Bill Buckner will lead it off, right fielder, 4-3, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. That's Griffin. He's a 2. 2 and a 6. He should get to that. He does. As a shortstop, Alfredo Griffin's a 29. So as an E29, he's got to avoid 11, 3, 17, and 18. 11, 3, 17, and 18. And that's a 13, so he's 14 rather, so he's good to go on that. So good play. Griffin will throw out Buckner. 1 away. Jim Rice is your batter. Rice singled his first chance. 1-7, and that's a strikeout. So Rice is out on strikes. 2 away for Don Baylor. He grounded to McGuire in his first at-bat. 3-6, he will ground it to the shortstop Griffin this time. So another 3 up, 3 down. Joaquin Andujar, impressive in his season debut. And we go to the bottom of the 4th, still no score between the A's and the Red Sox. Jeff Sellers and Joaquin Andujar. And it'll be Mr. Canseco leading things off for the A's. Canseco, his first time up, went down on strikes. 1-3, and that's a ballpark single check. 1-3, but that's a 20, so he will ground it to short. 1 away. Oops. Come on, get over here. Ground it to short. 1 down. And that's going to bring up McGuire. McGuire in his first chance. Grounded to short also. That is a 5-12 on Sellers against a right-hander. That's a ballpark blast. You know he's got normal power, but it's a 1-5, and that's an 18, so it's just going to be a deep fly to left, and Oakland Coliseum just cost McGuire a home run. Because that should have been just about automatic. When you get the ballpark blast with Canseco, it should have been just about automatic. But that's why you roll the dice. So here's Steinbach. He also grounded out to Hoffman his first chance. It's a 3-4, and that's another ballpark single check. It's a 1-3, and again, it's going to be a ground ball to short. 1-2-3 inning. Boy, both pitchers are just pitching above their skis right now, or either the offenses are pathetic, one or the other. We go to the 5th, and this is the fatigue inning for Andujar. So to keep an eye on that, Andujar has the little number 5 right by his name, right over here. So got to keep an eye on that. And Dewey Evans will lead it off for the Red Sox, and he flew to center his first chance. That's a 1-3, and that's a split chance on the super advance. It would have been a single in advance. Super advance 1-8's a single. That's a 4, so the single will still stand. So Dewey Evans gets a base hit. He will not be held. And Glenn Hoffman, the shortstop, is your batter. He is an A bunter, so against my better judgment, we're going to try to bunt again. I don't like bunting, but we'll do it anyway. 5, so that's going to go to the first baseman, McGuire. And the corner's in, makes him a B bunter. So basically, he has to get a 9 or less to get a good bunt. 5 will do it. It's a good sacrifice. So sacrifice goes to McGuire, and he will throw to Phillips, covering first base rather. 3-4 on the sacrifice. And that'll turn it over to Danny Schaefer. Schaefer, first time up, he flew to center field. It's a 4-8, and that's a strikeout. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. So the strikeout is good. 2 down. It's up to Hindu to get it done if the Red Sox want to take the lead. Evans at second base is not being held, so with 2 outs and not being held, he's going to get a +3. He'd be a 15 right off the bat. Good chance to score, but Henderson's got to get something done. 2-2, and he doesn't. It's a low max line up, but it's already 2 outs, so there won't be a double play, just be a line out. And that will end the inning. He hit it hard, but right to Gallego. And that's going to do it. And Andujar will continue to pitch into the 6th, I'm sure, because he's not tired yet. Jeff Sellers will come back out. His fatigue inning is the 6th, so he's still good shape. Stan Javier singled his first time up, but was stranded at third base. 2-6, and he draws the leadoff walk. And he will try to get the lead again. Didn't get the lead last time, but he wants to get it this time. 2 or 4 through 6 to get the lead. 12, he's out. That's a 4. He gets the lead. So 15 being held as a 13 and a 0 there. So it's a 1-13 for Javier to steal it. And he does. Stolen base Javier. So Stan Javier, with his second stolen base of the season, tries to get something going for Oakland. He is at second base with nobody out, and Mike Gallego, the batter. You'll see if Gallego can move him up even further. That's a 6-4, and that's a catcher X. That is Schaefer, and he's a 4. This could be like a wild pitch or pass ball or something. Hello, RJL. That is a 17, so that's interesting. He might get away with it. A 4 and a 17 for a catcher. 4 and 17 is a pop out, so he catches a break. There won't be any pass balls or anything like that. We're just checking for an error, and he is an E9. So E9 catcher. The only error he makes are 3, 13, and 18. And he's okay. So he catches it for the out. Pop out in fair territory, 1 away. And Gallego cannot move the runner up. So here comes Alfredo Griffin. He singled his first chance. Javier is being held on second. It's a 6-10, switch hitter being left. Ground ball third base X. That's Boggs. He's a 2E16. 2 and a 7. Should be okay. 2 and a 7. 2 and a 7 is a G2. Run on second is going to have to hold on that. So E16, he's got to avoid 3, 4, 7, 14, 16, and 18. That's a 10. That's good. So we'll double check it on this chart. A G2 with a runner on second. Says right. So since it's the right side, he can move up, but since it wasn't, he cannot. It's just a 5-3 ground out for out number 2. And now Polonia is up in a clutch situation with Javier still at second. And then Polonia on the clutch loses a single in 110. That's his only anti-clutch result. And amazingly, this green D20 has not come up with a 1, not a single time. So I haven't had any wild pitch checks or balk checks or anything. So maybe it's behaving. It's a 6-7 for Polonia. Ground ball shortstop X. Shortstop is responsible for holding Javier. So Hoffman will now switch to a 4E12, not a 3E12, because he is responsible for holding on Javier. So shortstop 4 and a 9, that could be a big difference. 4 and a 9 is a G3 pound, but the pound sign turns into an SI2. So there you go. That makes all the difference. If he wasn't holding the runner, that would have been a regular G3 and the inning would have been over. But they were holding the runner to keep him close at second base, not letting him get a big lead. And it cost him the range. That's an SI2. SI2. And we got to check for an error as well. Make sure they don't insult to injury. E12. He has to avoid 315 and 18, which he does. But it's a single 2 stars. And that will put the A's in the lead 1-0 on the RBI single from Polonia in the clutch. A's lead 1-0. And now Phillips is your batter. Phillips is 0 for 2. Polonia, he's going to be looking to get the lead. 4 through 6 to get the lead. And he gets the lead. So 19 minus 2 is 17. 0 there is still a 17. And it's an 18. He got caught stealing. Wow. Schaefer got off a good one there. Caught him. Schaefer's +1 arm, and he still got rid of it. So caught stealing with Phillips batting left-handed. That's going to go 2-6 with Hoffman putting on the tag. But the A's do take the lead 1-0 on the RBI single from Luis Polonia. So we go to the top of the 6th with the score. Boston 1, Oakland 1, Boston 0. Next game in the replay will be from the Kingdom in Seattle. It'll be Detroit at Seattle. And then the final game after that will be Milwaukee at California. That will conclude April 28th dates. Tomorrow I've already played it, and I'll be putting out tomorrow sometime maybe in the morning or late morning around lunchtime maybe. The next game in the 1990 History Maker series with Cincinnati Reds and Philadelphia Phillies, finishing up their 2-game series and their homestand. And then since that game is over, they will now go hit the road and play the Mets. So I'll probably play that game maybe Friday night from New York. Frank Viola will be on the mound for the Mets, and I'll have the stats for the Reds for the first month of the season so you can see how they're doing after the first month is over. All right, so Wade Boggs will lead things off against Andujar, 3-7. And that's a ground ball, second base X. Again, we're going to Phillips. He's a 4. That's shaky. 4-13, though, should be okay. 4-13 is a G3. That's good enough. E21, he's got to avoid 4, 13, and 17. 4, 13, and 17. And he does. So it's good play for Tony Phillips to throw out Boggs. And that'll bring up Marty Barrett. 0 for 2, 2-7. That's a ground ball to third. Gallego has got it. Over to McGuire, 2 down. And that sends up Billy Buck. So Andujar, an impressive season debut. 3-7, and that's a ground ball to first. McGuire's got it, takes to the bag himself. And Andujar, 6 solid. And I think they're going to cap him at the 6 innings because his first game back, he's only got a fatigue of 5 as it is, and it's his first game back. So realistically, they would not want to stretch him out, extremely far. So they will go ahead and cap Andujar at 6 innings pitched. He can win it, he can't lose it. And we'll get the numbers on Andujar. Usually I go to the computer for that, but he pitched so well I can do it on my own because he gave up such limited hits. 1, 2, 3 hits. So he pitched a 3-hit shutout through 6 innings. And he did not walk a single batter. And he struck out just 2. So put the ball in play, but he got him out. So there you go. We go to the bottom of the 6th. This is the fatigue inning for Sellers. And in the Oakland bullpen, we have to figure out who the bullpen pitcher is going to be. And it'll be a guy that they also just called up. Either that or he just got off injury. I don't know which. and that is Steve Ontiveros. He will later become an everyday starter, but the first couple games he pitches for the A's is in relief, so that's what I want to keep it with. So he is the guy that might be coming in, Steve Ontiveros. So I need to get his card out. Didn't pull his card for some reason. Need to get that out so we have it ready to go. Right there, you can see he's a starter 5, reliever 3, but he did relieve when he first came up. He started relieving. He didn't get to the starting rotation until later, so he is ready to come in and pitch. And he could possibly get if he pitches well, he could get a 3-inning save, but they at least want to break him in and get some work. So he will be the next guy in line for the Oakland A's going forward. Right now, for Oakland, it is Tony Phillips. He was at the plate when Polonia was caught stealing. Hello, Beatles. Good to see you. So keep that in mind. Andujar pitched beautifully. No question about it. More than Tony La Russa could have possibly asked for. All right, here is Tony Phillips to lead it off here against Sellers in the bottom of the 6th, and this is his fatigue inning, number 6. 1-0 A's. 1-6, and he's going to strike out Will Phillips. He's 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. So Sellers pitching a whale of a game himself, but just getting no run support. And here's Reggie Jackson, 0 for 2. And that's a 5-7, and that's a ground ball second base X. Marty Barrett's a 2E11. 2 and a 3, that could be issues. 2 and a 3, though, is a G3. He's not holding anybody on, nobody on base to hold. So that will be a legitimate G3. And then at second base, E11, he's got to avoid 15, 17, and 18. And he does. So it's good play from Marty Barrett. Marty Grinning Barrett. 2 down, and Reggie is out of there for Jose Canseco. Canseco 0 for 2. 4-11 is a fly ball left field X. That's Jim Rice. He's a 4. 4-19, he'll get to it. Now we got to check the error. 4-19, and Rice is an E7. So as a left fielder, he's got to avoid 16, 6, 15, and 18. Mostly the big numbers. 12, he's fine. So good play for Rice to end the inning. So Sellers keeps full endurance. He gave up nothing in his endurance inning, so he will continue, obviously. And now Steve Ontiveros will come in back of Andujar, who pitched 6 really beautiful innings, 3-hit shutout, but first game of the season, first game of the season for Andujar, they don't want to stretch him too far. So to be realistic, keeping his innings down. So here's Ontiveros, and this will be his season debut as well. Later in the season, he will become a part of the rotation, but right now, to start the season for him, in his initial outings, he is in the bullpen. So this, of course, is his official first outing. Real world, he was 10-8 with a save and an ERA of 4, with 151 innings pitched and 141 hits. But now he's going to come in and face Jim Rice, Don Baylor, and Dewey Evans. That's a 4-9, and that's trouble. 1's a triple, anything else is a single, but it's a leadoff single for Jim Rice. So Ontiveros getting initiated early. Rice not being held. Here's Don Baylor. Nothing there. Here's Baylor. 2-6, and that's a hit by pitch. What else would you expect from Don Baylor but a hit by pitch? Hello, Mr. Little. He came in just in time. I don't know how long you've been here, but Baylor just got hit by the pitch. Like, what's new? So Ontiveros having his issues after Andujar shut down the Red Sox for 6 innings. Andujar, also making his season debut, is having issues. He's given up a single and a hit by pitch. And that will now bring up Dewey Evans. Dewey Evans is not the kind of guy that would bunt, so we're not going to worry about that. They're going to let him swing away. Andujar is trying to get that first out of the season. 4-8 won't do it. That's a 1-3 double, 4-20 single. That's a 1. That's a double. It's a 2-star double. And that's going to take the win away from Andujar. And Andujar blows the save, and now he might be in danger of taking a loss, as La Russa might have to get that bullpen going pretty quick. Second and third, nobody out. Infield is going to come in. Andujar, serious issues here. 2-6, and that's a single to center field by Hoffman. They will hold Evans at third, but scoring is Baylor to take a 2-1 Red Sox lead. So they bring in the new pitcher, and all heck breaks loose. Runners at the corners. And Andujar cannot get anybody out. The A's bullpen is loosening again, quick as can be. They do have left-handed action. Dave Leeper is in the bullpen. Just trying to figure out how long they can go with Andujar here. Runners at the corners. They're back. They need outs. They need a double play in the worst way. Even if it costs them a run, they need a double play. 6-7 is a ground ball second base X. That's Phillips, but that's danger because he's a 4. 4 and a 6. That might not be good enough. He wasn't holding anybody on. That's his only saving grace. But a 4 and a 6 is still an SI1, so it's going to get through for a base hit. That will score Evans to make it 3-1 Red Sox. Hoffman takes second base on the single by Schaefer. Make sure there's no error on Phillips. He's an E21. Got to avoid 4, 13, and 17. And there's a 13 right in the middle of the screen, right there. He couldn't do it. E21 is a 13 right there, so it's a 1 base error to add to the play. E4. Second error of the game on Phillips. And things are going from bad to worse for the A's, and La Russa does not look happy about it. Second error on Phillips in this game, and still haven't gotten anybody out. Here's Hindu, and this is Andujar's last batter because the lefty Leeper is going to come in to face Boggs. So infield is in. Andujar, 4-11, and that is a ground ball first base X with the infield in. McGuire is a 3. Oh, and it rolls a 2. What a time to roll a low number for McGuire. A 3 and a 2 is an SI2. It's going to score both runs. It is now 5-1 Boston on the single by Henderson. McGuire's errors in E12, 6, 9, 15, 3, and 18. And that is an 8, so he gets by with no error, but the base hit, and that's going to be it. Andujar did not get anybody out at all. So his ERA remains infinite as he couldn't get anybody out. And that experiment did not work well at all for the A's. So Andujar will go, and Leeper will be coming in for the A's. Try to stop the bleeding. Hopefully Andujar is better as a starter, because he sure didn't cut it as a reliever. So Leeper is your new pitcher. And La Russa just doesn't know what to do. But Leeper is on, and in the replay, Leeper is 1-0 with a 3.86 earned run average. 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So limited duty. And he'll be facing Wade Boggs with Henderson at first and still nobody out. That's a 2-6 left-handed, and that's a 1-7 single, and that's a 2. Of course it's a 2. It's going to be low number, so Boston can keep the inning going. It's just that kind of inning for Oakland. 7 batters to the plate. None of them are out yet. Here's Marty Barrett. It's a 1-5 against the left-hander, and that's a walk. It's going to load the bases. So an implosion here at Oakland Coliseum as we went from a 1-0 pitcher's duel into this in the 7th inning. Just, hello, D. Scott. Just not pretty. All right, here's the pitch to Buckner. Infield is looking for a double play. They got to get outs. There are no outs right now. 4-5, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-4. That's a 17. There'll be a fly ball B, but it is a sacrifice fly to right field by Buckner. That will score Henderson. And finally, an out's recorded, but at the cost of a run. It is now 6-1, and the Red Sox have batted around. We're back to Jim Rice, who led off this 7th inning. Started the whole mess with a single. Was an innocent single at the time, but boy, what do you do now? First and second, 1 out. Leaper trying to just survive here. That's a 2-9 for Rice. That's a ground ball third base save that'll get him out of the inning. So it will be a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. But a 6 spot here in the top of the 7th for the Red Sox rather. And they have turned this over to Jeff Sellers, who I would say is in pretty good shape right now with a 6-1 lead. So that was a 5-4-3 double play. And let's get the gory details on Ontiveros. Definitely an inauspicious debut for him. ERA is infinite because he didn't get anybody out. Gave up 5 hits and was charged with all 6 runs, which were earned. So, boy, that's going to take him a while to get that ERA down, that's for sure. So now Oakland has tried to bounce back against Sellers. 7th inning stretch time. I think I'm going to probably have to stretch with them just to take a breather from that top of the 7th, which was so horrible. So we go to the bottom of the 7th. Score now, Boston 6 and Oakland 1. And Tony La Russa looking at his sabermetrics, but doesn't know what to do about it. Not sure if he can do anything about it other than regroup and head to tomorrow, or either take a chance that the possibility that they can rally, which is not out of the question. That's why you roll the dice. Anything can happen. Not like Boston's bullpens is, the best in the world either. So you never know. But that does give me a chance to mention the next game in the replay, which will be Detroit at Seattle on this April 28th day. Detroit at Seattle, and we'll get the pitching matchups for you. Pitching matchups will be, for the Tigers, it'll be Jeff Robinson, and for the Seattle Mariners, it'll be Mike Morgan. That'll be at the Kingdome in Seattle. That will be the next game on the replay. Hello, Jason. Good to see you. It was an error mixed in there, but the error was simply to allow a runner to get extra base, and the base hits took care of that. That's why there was no unearned runs, because the error didn't allow the runner to get on base initially. It was just it was in addition to a single. So that's why the runs were earned. All right. All right, here's McGuire. 3-5 for McGuire. A 1's a double. Anything else is a single. That's a 2, so it's a good start. You got a long journey. Start with first small steps. So McGuire does single. McGuire does single. And we'll keep an eye on Sellers because if he gives up a couple more hits, he could reach his fatigue level. Here is Steinbach. Terry Steinbach. He's 0 for 2. He grounded to short twice. 2, chance of a balk or a pass ball. Chance of a pass ball on Schaefer is pass ball ratings of 5. And no pass ball. So we keep going. 5-6 for Sellers is a strikeout. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. So the strikeout is good. And Sellers strikes out Steinbach. Here's Javier, and I tell you, after seeing what happened to Oakland, McNamara may not be too swift to go to his bullpen, especially the way that they've been performing all season. 6-8, switch hitter batting left, is a single to right field. And McGuire's not going to test Dewey Evans' arm down by 5 runs, so he will just hold at second base. Station to station baseball. Here is Gallego. Now we are in the 7th, so pinch hitting is allowed. And coming into play to pinch hit for Gallego and take over at third base will be Carney Lansford. They were trying to give Lansford the day off, but they feel like they need a spark. So Lansford will pinch hit here in the 7th and take over for third base in the 8th. So Carney Lansford gets the call for Mike Gallego, who was 0 for 2. On the replay, Lansford checks in, hitting .295, 2 homers, 15 driven in. 2 on, 1 out, bottom of the 7th. 6-1 Boston. That's a 5-5, and that is another strikeout again. He is not tired yet, so the strikeout is good. So Lansford goes down on strikes, and that'll bring up Alfredo Griffin. 263 hitter, so we're not going to pinch hit for him. He is 1 for 2. Oakland going to possibly leaving more guys on base. 4-10, switch hitter, struck him out. So Sellers strikes out the side here in the 7th. And the A's leave more runners on base. Now Lansford will take over as the third baseman. So the A's having their issues with left on base, left them loaded in the 3rd, and now leave 2 on here in the 7th. So Jeff Sellers going to keep going. Why not? Leaper will stay in there to pitch the 8th. Going to be facing Don Baylor. That's a 6-5, and that is a fly to center field. Move these over here now because I think we're running out of room. So 6-5 is a fly to center field. 1 away, and that's going to bring up Dewey Evans. That's a 5-4, and that's a strikeout. Not tired, so the strikeout is good. And Glenn Hoffman, your batter. 5-10, and that's a ballpark single. It's only 1-3, but again, we roll a 2. All of a sudden, I mentioned that green die was not coming up with low numbers in the first half of the game, but the second half of the game, it's definitely doing that. So, not good. Hoffman will single on the ballpark check. He will not go anywhere, will not be held. Here's Schaefer. 6-5 as a fly to center. Javier puts it away, and the inning's over. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Sellers going to stay in there till he gets fatigued because McNamara just doesn't trust the bullpen. So we start the bottom of the 8th with Polonia, top of the order for Oakland. Polonia, 2 for 3 in the game, 4-4. Fly ball center field X, that is Henderson, and Hindu is a 2 E16. 2 and a 5. Should get to it. Let's take a look. 2 and a 5 is an F2. He will get to it. E16 in center. He's got to avoid 4, 16, 7, 14, and 18. And that's a 7. Did I say he could avoid a 7? 16. He did not. Look at that. E16 for Henderson. That 7 is a 2-base error right there. E16 and the 7's right there is a 2-base error. So it is a 2-base error on Mr. Hindu. First error for the Red Sox. And that'll put the leadoff man, Polonia, at second base with nobody out for Tony Phillips. That's a 4-10. Switch hitter, 4-10 to strikeout. So Phillips gets the hat trick. He has struck out all 3 times. And that brings up Reggie. Reggie hasn't done much better. He's 0 for 3. 2-9, and that's 1-4 for a double. But of course, now comes a larger number on the D20. Turns into a 6, and it also turns into a fly to center. So Reggie not too happy about that. 2 down, and here comes Canseco. And Oakland saying, who is this kid, Sellers? Why is he pitching like Roger Clemens? 4-2, and that's a ground ball first base C. It's going to be a 3-1 put out to end the inning. There's a dot there, but again, he was not tired. So Sellers is going to go 8 innings. Don't think they'll give him a complete game. I think realistically they would pull him by now and figure that somebody's got to be able to get out of it without 5 runs being scored. So that's going to be it for Sellers and also for Leaper. So we'll go and get the totals on both of them from the box score. Leaper is going to go 2 innings, give up 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk and 1 strikeout. And for Sellers, 8 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. And of course, he would improve to 2-1 with the win. And Ontiveros would obviously drop to 0-1 with the loss. All right, coming in to pitch for Oakland, which is kind of now turned into a mop-up role with the score being what it is. Let's see who they've got that can that hasn't pitched in a while, maybe. They're going to go to Rodriguez, a right-hander, Rick Rodriguez. They don't want to use Eckersley or Nelson or Howell. Those are the 3 they have left, so they don't want to use those guys. They'd rather go with the lesser guy, Rick Rodriguez, although he wasn't that lesser. He had a 2.96 ERA, but he's not one of the first guys you think of. So Rodriguez will come in and pitch and face the bottom of the order, Henderson, Boggs, and Barrett, facing Rick Rodriguez. On the replay, Rodriguez is 0-0. His ERA is 30.38 because he had that one bad outing where he gave up a bunch of runs. 3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 walks, no strikeouts. So he definitely needs a good outing to kind of smooth things over here. 2-8, and that's a strikeout. That's a good start. Even if he pitches a scoreless 9th, that'll help his ERA. Nothing else. Here's Boggs. 4-7, and that's a single to center field. 1 out single for Boggs. Just by getting that 1 out, his ERA is already down to 27. So he's working on it. Here's Marty Barrett. $3-8 for Barrett is a single 2 stars. So that'll put Boggs over to third base. But La Russa really does not want to use his top line guys when the score's like this. So it's Rodriguez or bust, basically. If he'll back for the double play, 1-9, and that's a single 2 stars for Buckner. And that'll score Boggs to make it 7-1. But in all fairness to Rodriguez, these are coming off the hitter cards, so he really has no chance. All right, here's Jim Rice. Still looking for that double play. 1-8, that's a strikeout. That'll help him. And that'll bring up Don Baylor. Hate to call it a clutch situation when it's 7-1, but it's technically a clutch situation. 4-5, and that's trouble. In home run 1-3. That's a 17. It'll be a triple for Don Baylor. Did he have any? He had no triples, so we're going to make this a double instead of a triple. I just can't see Baylor legging out a triple. A double I can see, but not a triple. And I don't see Buckner scoring either with an 8. So we're going to put him as third base rather. We'll score Barrett. 2 runs are in. It is now 8-1. And here's Dewey Evans. That's a 6-4. It's a fly ball center field X, and it's all up to Javier, who's a 2. So hopefully he gets him out of the inning. 2-3. Boy, 2-3. This D20 is about ready to get thrown out the room here, the way it's been going here the last few minutes. 2-3 is an SI2. So that's going to score both runs. 4 runs will come in the inning. And let's see, E7 for Javier. Now, no error, thank goodness, but 2 runs come in. 2-run single from Dewey Evans. It is now 10-1 Boston, as they've scored 10 runs in the last 3 innings after Andujar pitched 6 shutout innings. Go figure. And that'll send up Glenn Hoffman. And now Rodriguez's ERA is back up to 35.10. (3-4), and we're not in a clutch situation, thank goodness. It would have been a clutch hit, but it's a line out to second to end the inning. And even if the guy was on second base, I would have waved off the clutch. When it's 10-1, it's not clutch. I'm sorry. To me, if it's more than 5-run difference, it's not clutch. So that's it for Rodriguez. His day is done. We'll get rid of him. And now the Red Sox can bring in whoever the hell they want. It's a 10-1 game, so they can bring in anybody they want that's horrible. They'll bring in their worst pitcher out of the bullpen. Who is the worst pitcher statistically out of the bullpen? Well, Woodward's got an ERA of 8. Schiraldi, ERA of 14.40. So let's bring in Schiraldi. Supposed to be their closer, but his ERA right now is 14.40 in the replay. So Schiraldi will come on. He is 0-2 with no saves and a 14.40 ERA. 5 innings pitched, 12 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So Schiraldi will be on, and he'll be facing McGuire, Steinbach, and Javier for the A's. Schiraldi, 6'9", struck him out. McGuire out on strikes. That lowers Schiraldi's ERA to 13.50. Here comes Steinbach. 4-6, struck him out. That lowers his ERA. Whoops. Hit the button twice there. His ERA has dropped to 12.71. Here's Javier. 4-3 ground ball pitcher X. He's an E17. He's a 3 E17. 3 and a 3 might get through for a hit for the pitcher. 3 and a 3 is a single. He's also an E17. He's got to avoid 3, 6, 11, 12, and 17. Which, wait a minute, this 6, did I say 6? No, hold on. He is an E17. Yep, 6 is right there for an error. So it's going to be a single plus an error on Schiraldi. So single plus an error. And the inning and the game continues for Carney Lansford. Somehow you just knew Schiraldi couldn't do a 1-2-3 inning. I just didn't think that was possible, and it was made to be true. All right, Lansford. 3-6 for Lansford. 1-6 is the home run. It's a 16. It'll be a double instead. So an RBI double for Lansford makes the score 10-2. And now Schiraldi's ERA is still at 12.71 because they haven't given this run as being earned yet for whatever reason. Don't know why. A double would have probably scored him from first anyway. So here's Alfredo Griffin. As this game never wants to end, apparently. 5-4 switch hitter. That's an in-home run chance straight up. But he has weak power, so that's going to be a single 2 stars. It will score the run, makes it 10-3. That'll make that other run earned for sure now. And now Schiraldi's ERA is 15.88. Here comes Luis Polonia. It's 10-3 to score. Polonia. 5-6, and that's a ballpark blast, but that's a 6, so it's not going to happen. Plus, he had weak power anyway. So it's just going to be a fly to right, and the game is over, finally. The Red Sox defeat the Oakland A's by the score of 10-3. So Boston has come into Oakland and won the first 2 games of the series. That's why you roll the dice. That is exactly why you roll the dice. Winner is Sellers. He is now 2-1. Schiraldi goes 1 inning, gives up 3 hits and 2 runs. No walks and 2 strikeouts. Rodriguez 1 inning pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs. They were earned. No walks and 2 strikeouts. Final line score 10-15-2 for Boston. For Oakland, 3-9-2. Losing pitcher was Ontiveros. He is now 0-1, obviously, with an infinite ERA. Strat computer shows dash because he didn't get anybody out, so he can't have an ERA. So Boston will win it, improve to 4-16. Oakland drops to 15-6, which does help the rest of the AL West as they try to catch Oakland. As we look at the standings now, with the loss, Oakland now drops to 15-6. So the White Sox make it to within 3 games now. 1 in the loss column. And Kansas City will be 4.5. Texas is 5. Seattle 5.5. And these guys 6.5. Boston now 4-16. They are now just plain 11 games back from the Brewers. So, interesting game. So it was a great game through 6 innings. I kind of feel bad. Probably shouldn't take an Andujar out. I was just trying to be realistic. Thinking his first game of the season, they wouldn't want to stretch him too much. I was already, 1 inning past his number of innings for point of weakness. So I just thought it would make sense to do that. But I had no idea that Ontiveros was going to blow up like that. So just happens that way sometimes. But that will do it from here. on this Tuesday night. Tomorrow, sometime late morning, will be I've already recorded it, but I'll play the final game of the Cincinnati Reds replay against the Phillies. That's the last game of their homestand. And that'll be the last game. It's actually May 1st, so I'm counting it as the last game of April because it's part of that series. And then probably on Friday will be the road trip opener in New York to play the Mets and Frank Viola. But I'll have the team stats all printed out and everything before that game comes about. I've still got to go in and input the stats manually for the rainout game because Strat computer won't let me do that. I have to do it manually. So to go back and look at the score sheet and do that manually to update everything and make sure everything is in place. But that's it. But the next game right here, Detroit and Seattle. It'll be Jeff Robinson against Mike Morgan. And it'll be game number 136 on the season. And Detroit will enter this game with a record of 7-11. And Seattle will enter their game with a record of 9-11. Right-hander Jeff Robinson against right-hander Mike Morgan. That'll be the next game, hopefully tomorrow night, but at worst case scenario, Thursday night. So I do appreciate everybody who spent part of your evening with me here. Even though it was got freaky there at the end, it was a really solid game for at least 6 innings. But if you want to blame the manager for taking out Andujar, you're certainly welcome to do so. Just in the attempt to be realistic, I didn't think they would run him out there for a 7th inning. And of course, if the bullpen did their job, Andujar would have his first win, and everybody talked about what a great start he had. Now that's kind of gotten forgotten about because of what happened. So I will pitch Ontiveros again shortly to try to at least get him an ERA and get him off the infinite. But that's going to do it from here in Oakland as the Red Sox win. And they actually, so I look at the stats now for the league. Let's look this up here. Boston has defeated the A's twice. They've beaten them twice in a row. So let me try to remember the score here from the other game. I think the other game was a blowout too, if I'm not mistaken. We'll look at the thing here for Oakland on their log. They lost. Boston has beaten Oakland 11-4 and 10-3. They've beaten them 21-7 in 2 games. They pounded the A's pitching staff, and they beat up Eckersley in the first game in relief. And they do it to Ontiveros here. So Boston, despite coming into the series at 2-16, they're now 4-16, and they piled 26 runs against the A's in the first 2 games of the series. Let's look and see who pitches for them in the final game of the series on the 29th. It would be Al Nipper. Actually, that's the end of the series because Boston goes to Seattle after this. So that was a quick 2-game series, and Boston dominated. So Oakland's left licking their wounds, but Boston will go up the left coast to play Seattle, while Oakland will entertain Milwaukee. And it gets no easier for Oakland because in the next game against Milwaukee, they got to deal with Teddy Higuera, so against Eric Plunk. So Oakland had that bright, hot start, but maybe they're coming back to reality now. So you never know what might happen. But that's for the 29th. We're still on the 28th, and it's Detroit, Seattle, the next game. Again, thank you all for spending part of your Tuesday evening with me. Be sure to check out all the other fine content creators out there when they stream their games and support them. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.